Another bout or another taggart or probably something in between. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, talking Florida State football. We got big game James Coleman on the line. You can catch him at fifth quarter college football. James, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you as well. Let's see. We're about, we're less than 2 weeks away from the big day. So looking at Mike Norvell, certainly the job has been open and had been open for quite some time. Much speculation about guys all over the place, including Bob Stoops out of retirement. But it comes down to Mike Norvell out of Memphis. Your general response to the hiring?
Like I said, Mark, you've been doing this for a while. You're very respected. I aspire to be able to do it on a level that you do it one day. But so you probably have more experience with coaching searches than I do, especially being more so a Florida State guy. But I've been following them pretty good the last 3-4 years. Has ever in the history of a coaching search a college ever admitted, you know what, we missed on our first 2 or 3 guys, and this is the guy we got to? Like, because the last few ones that I follow, it's always, no, we got our guy. This was the only person that we looked at or was offered or something like that. So I just always find that funny. Has there ever have you had experience where colleges ADs come out and say, you know what, this guy's okay?
I had a 6 or 7 year stretch in the SEC, specifically with Alabama, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. It seemed like they were cycling through coaches, all three programs, all 3 major sports, football, baseball, basketball, constantly. That was never stated. And obviously I'm around it all the time too now. As soon as you started to talk about going through candidates, the Tennessee job last year came up before Jeremy Pruitt, but they never admitted to it, even though the world knew that they were down to like their 8th candidate.
So that's why I always tell people and fans, you'll get people in the comments, because I took some heat. I went out on a limb with Bob. Obviously it was wrong at the end, but it's just I just explained to people. I was like, hey, would they tell you that they messed up if they did? So, but that being said, we have Mike Norvell, and he's growing on me every day. And I'm trying to not get caught up in the way we got caught up last year as a fan base. We're gonna at fifth quarter FSU. We're gonna do the same thing that we have all of our fifth quarter affiliates do. They're gonna support the school and they're gonna write the truth. And they're going to try to get the fan base excited as well as educated. But I'm not. I am trying not to fall in love with this guy like I did with like a lot of people did with Tag. But his energy is very contagious. And when you go and you start researching him, you look at the fact that he's had 26 assistants in 4 years. Go to the Power 5. Go to other schools and get promotions, or go to Power 5 conferences and are excelling and flourishing in those. As well as you look at the energy that he's brought to recruiting with added resources that Florida State had kind of took away for the last 2 years. It's hard to not like the hire. And he won a press conference, but it's very hard to not win a press conference when you're taking over a guy who either left or wasn't what you expected him to be. But as of right now, the message that he's getting across to the current players, to former players and future players, is one to actually be excited about.
Well, when you listen to coaches take a job and hit the podium, it's almost like an interview process. So I used to interview a lot of people, and the buzzwords all come out about how hard they work and that they're a perfectionist and all those things. But you want to hear something unique or genuine or authentic, or you want to hear a story that's unique to them and shows their personality or their drive. More so than just all the buzzwords. And if you can get that out of somebody, then that's at least a good indication that they're authentic. I appreciate the comments off the top. I'll say in regards to what I value, which is a number of things on a number of levels with you, but this in particular, speaking to this topic, is that you're able to cut it very close in regards to your support, your love for the university, the program. You love it, but are able to still keep an objectionable eye on the analysis of the games and the program and where it's headed. So I definitely appreciate that. So you're good with Mike Norvell. My only consideration with Norvell is I always like to see when a coach is able to build a program and not inherit one. So he kept a good thing going at Memphis, but Justin Fuente was the guy that took a 2 or 3 win program and made it a 10 or 11 win program. And Norvell kind of inherited that and just certainly did an excellent job of keeping that going, but he wasn't the guy to build it.
Right, and I think people get confused, and it's we did the same thing with Kendall Browse. If I'm being frank, we talked about Kendall Browse and his in the Baylor offense, and what we did was we looked at the 4 or 5 years that Baylor was really at the top or at their height, and we gave Kendall a lot of leeway based upon that, without realizing that he was only there for the last 2 years. So his first year as OC, inheriting a product that was actually really good, he kept it to a high level, except for when they played defenses with a pulse. His last year, they were 8-5 now. There was a lot of things with the scandal going on and stuff like that, but it's not that he was a bad OC. It's just that, again, we gave too much credit where it wasn't necessarily earned or deserved. Now, when you look at White Mike is what I call him, he did not build the Memphis program, but like you said, he did help take it to the next level. And what he did was he made some hires and he poured into his assistants in a way that we don't know if Fuente would have done that or not, because Fuente was only there for 2 years, I believe. But you can't deny going 12-1, no matter what conference you're in, is a big feat. And that's really what you want when you're looking at guys from a group of 5 school. Now, the concern and the real reason why I'm not going to jump in and just be all Mike Norvell is taking us to the national championship next year has little to do with him inheriting or building a program, but more so to do with you don't know what it's like to coach at the big boy football level until you get here. You don't know what type of recruits that you can actually go with until you get here, because you don't have the resources or the clout to be able to go into a 5-stars house at Memphis and say, hey, we want you. You should pick us over Bama, over these other schools. And when I kind of look at how he's handled the up until getting Purdy the commit from Louisville, the quarterback commit from Louisville to come in on a visit, the way that I've seen him handle the recruiting of the quarterback position at Florida State kind of made me wonder, is he still recruiting like Memphis style players at Florida State? And that's not a overall problem, because I believe Memphis could have kicked Florida State's ass this year if they played. But it is a problem when you have the top shelf products that you can pick from to cook, but you only going for ramen and Vienna sausages. Now, if you can flip it and make ramen and Vienna sausage to a 4-course meal, a five-star restaurant caliber meal, that's great. But there's no need to force it when you don't have to. And that's kind of the only concern. But again, the energy, the work ethic, some of those people that he's bringing back, those are all better on paper than what we realized 2 years ago when we were in this situation with Taggart.
Yeah, you obviously have to see the coach with his shirt sleeves rolled up doing the actual work before you can evaluate. But based on what you've heard out of his mouth, you've got a different perspective again on this than most of us, because you know what you would like to hear out of a coach at least. Then you need to see it substantiated, but at least to hear it out of his mouth. Well, what do you like specifically that you hear?
One thing that he said toward the tail end is that he understands you don't trust him. All he wants is an opportunity to build the trust. That's something that lets me know that he has an understanding of how Florida State has been ran in the last 5 years. You had 3 years of Jimbo threatening to leave. You had 2, so that built uncertainty. You had 2 years of Tag, saying we're close, we're going to be doing this, we're going to do that, and then it never happened. It never came into fruition. And now you've got some guys who will have technically their 4th coach in 3 years. Odell, you had Jimbo, you had Odell twice in the interim capacity. Then you have Taggart, now you have Mike Norvell. And you don't know what to believe. And it's easy as us as the adults or adults who have never been in this situation to step back and say, that's life, it's tough. But, when you're a 17 to 22-year-old and this is your career, you really only have 4 to 5 years to be able to put the best on your resume, and you don't have consistency in the men who are leading you to become the best and develop you, that causes distrust. And I think him coming in and speaking on that spoke volumes of who he is and why he might be the man for the job from an energy perspective. He said a lot of coach speak though, and that's what fans like. I, as a player, don't. I want to see what you do, but as far as coach speak, and it felt like I was in church. It felt like if Joel Osteen was leading a pregame speech for a football team, that's what it'd been. Now, from like that's important too, though, at Florida State because those fans write checks. We have a very aggressive campaign that we broke at the fifth quarter, right before Boston College, so at the beginning of November, about the Renaissance Project, where we're trying to raise $20 to $25 million through some key boosters. And then we're trying to obviously raise as much as we can so we can compete with facilities, do the buyouts, and play big boy football. And so you need that guy to be able to preach and lead the sermon. But on the flip side, you also got to have somebody that you can actually trust that's going to do it. So I think the fact that he has had success and more success than what Tag had, I think that gives him some time. Plus, we can't afford to keep firing coaches. So he got to work for the next 3 to 4 years. And we've hitched our wagons to him. And it takes an idiot to have faith, but it takes a certain type of idiot to have what I call idiot faith. Like, I'm going to jump out of an airplane with a parachute. I got to have faith. I'm an idiot for jumping out of a plane, but if I pull this string, everything is supposed to work. I'm hoping. So it's still calculated. Idiot faith is just jumping out of a plane without anything and thinking that everything's going to take care of itself.
Big game. James Coleman on the line from Fifth Quarter College Football joins us on a regular basis to break down the Seminoles. Mike Norvell on board, of course, with less than a week to what has become, James. Of course, we didn't know that first year. What is this National Signing Day going to look like between the balance of players between the December signing period and then February, the traditional? Well, we quickly found out that about 80% of the, especially as you term it, big boy conferences, the big boy teams, about 80% of those guys check in and get that job done and put the name on the dotted line that first December. So he's got to get a lot of work done in 4 or 5 days. Can he make that much of an impact?
I mean, it seems like he has. And just to preface, another person who I've heard him named with and fans want to say, he's like Urban Meyer. And I'm like, from the development of a coach's standpoint and identifying talent. But I'm like, let's just calm down with that. Urban didn't have to deal with early signing period in the transfer portal. So it's so much more that you have to deal with as a coach that it just makes it more, like I said, it makes it more difficult. But what he has done a good job of is controlling the narrative and getting guys to understand who he is and respect it. And he is very upfront and very direct from everything that I've heard. I haven't met him yet. Odell Hagen's called me numerous times saying, James, you're going to like him when you meet him. I can't wait to meet him. But talking to Brian Robinson, who people are going to talk. Bottom line, Brian Robinson's been a silent commit to Dugans all year. He just needed us to win, and it didn't work that way. But to what he talked to Jalen Knighton, a.k.a. the Rooster, how he spoke to even Jeff Sims here. There's been a lot of controversy and uproar within the Nole community about how that visit, what took place in that visit, and what actually happened. And all you can do is consistently say is that he's a straight shooter, and he doesn't lie. He doesn't go back and forth. He says what he means, and he means what he says. So I say this, and this is a story of what happened inside of Brian Robinson's house. So we all know in Nole Nation at this point that Ron Dugans is being retained. Brian Robinson asked him straight to his face in front of Dugans, I have a relationship with Ron Dugans. Is Ron Dugans going to be a coach on your staff? This man said in front of Ron Dugans and to a recruit that he needed. It's a 4-star big-time recruit. Everybody's recruiting him. He said, I've only known Ron Dugans for 2 days. I won't make you a promise that I can't keep. I don't know if he'll be here or not. But what I can promise you is that we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and this is what we've done. That's some candor for your ass. Bump the recruit. I'm flying with you on a private jet and traveling all around Miami, introducing you to the people that you need to know. And you tell somebody, I don't know if he'll be here in 2 days. I've only known him for 2 days. Like there are some people who, myself being included, who can appreciate that candor. But there's some people who that will kind of maybe rub them the wrong way, and you can understand both sides of it. So that's also what happened with one Jeff Sims. He told Jeff Sims that, hey, I don't know you yet. I just took over this job. I want to get you on a chalkboard. I want to see what your football knowledge is, because the quarterback position is the most important. So, if you want to come, you come. If you don't want to come, you don't. But we're going to recruit. We're going to recruit a bunch of guys, and we're going to open it up. Now, Jeff isn't afraid of competition at all. It was no secret that Florida State was bringing in Cade Renfro. We call him Old Town Road in the fifth quarter, and then hopefully getting a grad transfer with everybody's hopes being King from De'Aaron King from Houston. But they always made sure that it went over the top to make him feel like he was the bell at the ball. Georgia Tech, other schools are going over the top, making sure he was the bell at the ball. That's not how Mike Norvell recruits. He's excited to see you. He's excited with the energy that he's going to give you, but he's going to shoot it straight, and it's worked for the most part. We can't. I don't think we had a chance with Knighton, but I think he's going to still go in Miami. Keyshawn Green, there's still a chance if we can push him to sign in the late signing period, then we're good. But but everybody else in the class absolutely loved it. So he should sign 12. The guys who are committed now, I believe we keep them. They remain committed, and we sign most of those with 2 to 3 surprises after this visit right here. I believe Louisville. I'm sorry, any Louisville fans. I think we're getting Purdy. So I like the signs of that, but it's just that's the energy. That's what he's coming with. That's what's making me like him more. It has nothing to do with what he said in his press conference. I don't care what you talk about. I care what you do. And it looks like he's doing some big things.
James, I'm in the camp where I like the candor, because I think that's going to pay off in the long run. And that shows me something about the man himself, if that's the way he operates all the time, because he was in a situation in which he could have bailed out and given him the easy answer, and he didn't. And he really had nothing to gain by giving the truth, except for establishing that trust and showing who he truly is. And I think that pays off in the long run. And that's not the reason you do it if you've got some character and some backbone, but that's just who you are. And it does pay off in the long run. So I'm in the camp of candor, being blunt, being straightforward, certainly shaping it in a way where if it were me, I'd say, man, everything I've heard about this man, Ron Dugans, is great. I think he's amazing based on what I've heard, but I don't know. I'm going through my own evaluation process, and we're going to look at that, but I can't guarantee you that. I think that's great.
I mean, and that's the way, and so the way he did that, and he met with if most people know booty dance music legend Luther Campbell, aka Uncle Luke. They took him down there. He has very big pull with the Miami community, and people love him still down there because of what he does for the youth. He was impressed. He's going around and shooting straight with people, and they're liking it. So the energy that Tag had was this. Tag could recruit. Tag was a salesman. There was the thing was said, if Tag can win 8 or 9 games, he's going to be hell on the trail. They never said he would flip that into national championships. It was just he'll be hell on the trail. This guy, when I first heard about him, all I heard about was his X's and O's and his prowess. So I immediately put him in a category like a Dan Mullen. Those are my rivals. I don't, like I said, people think I'm a homer, but I shoot straight. I love college. I love football. All I do is cover football from a college and a national perspective. Dan Mullen's a damn good coach. Probably not the best recruiter, but is a good coach, and winning with the logo will bring people to you. And what Mullen had, what he did for the Florida State game, masterful. Like, brought in all these recruits to let them see a massacre of a program. The only thing he didn't execute well was beating us by 60. That's the only thing he didn't do well enough. I think that you've got a guy that can, I'm not going to put him on the same level yet because he's never coached a national championship, but we'll see. But on the X's and O level is more closer to Dan Mullen than he is Willie Taggart. But on a recruiting standpoint, I believe he's better than Willie Taggart because he has the energy, the charisma, and for whatever reason, it translates a lot faster in living rooms. So if this man can somehow get Florida State to win 8 or 9 games next year, I'm going to, from his X's and O's, he's going to be hell on the trail.
We're into the Florida State football talk with James Coleman. It's good stuff each and every time. Big Game James. Follow him on Twitter, and you got the URL, the link right there, fifthquartercollegefootball.com. And again, Big Game James Coleman. Hopefully we can have you back soon. We'll break down this 2020 class, and we'll look at the bowl game against Arizona State.
All right. Look forward to it.